Hey again, everybody. What's up? And just have a really quick video here to show you something that I thought was somewhat interesting that I've noticed about both of these simulation games. So I know that they're not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm going to show you something that I've kind of run into because there's kind of a real big difference between them. So we're going to look here first over at NP3, and I'm not sure if this is quite big enough for you to see or not. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do to sort of expand the window. It's a game that does not allow me to put it into full screen mode or do anything sort of fancy like that. Apologies to those of you who are on mobile devices. You can see here, this is a screen I don't usually show you. This is the screen that's used to select a starting lineup. You can click in and you can save default lineups if you want. You can move things around. I usually don't use this default lineup. I kind of use one of my own creation. There's a problem, though, that you have here, which is that when you click on these players, you can't really see much about them. You can see the batting card that they have, but what I can't see is how are they hitting so far in the replay, right? It's a problem that we also saw in that game that we were just playing. If you watched today's game earlier between the Cubs and Cardinals, and apologies for the spoiler up here on the screen, if you watch that game, you'll realize that we were trying to make a couple of adjustments, and I was looking and trying to figure out which pitchers have been used and which haven't. It's not really that easy to see in the middle of a game. Now, you can see a couple of things. For example, if you want to see the pitchers who were starting to make sure you don't start the same guy twice, which I've actually already done, making a mistake, you can go over here to games played, and you can take a look and see the starting pitcher, and you can select it this way. You can even look at all the games for a specific team. So you can see my problem here, which was with the Senators. I selected the Red Sox here. Senators said Charlie Smith started 2 games in a row. That's because I made a mistake in my calculations. No problem. That's sort of just the way that it is, but it's kind of difficult to jump constantly between that screen and this one just for the starting pitcher, right? You almost have to have a notepad on the side to make sure you're keeping track of stuff. Same thing happens with statistics, right? We can see the batting statistics for the Red Sox. You can, fortunately, unlike some other games, you can sort things by any one of these screens. So if whatever is important to you, if you want to see who has most at-bats, you can see here, get a good idea of who's probably hitting in what part of the batting order based on at-bats or plate appearances. You want to see who has too many sacrifice hits, you can look at that. If you want to see who keeps getting caught stealing, you can do that, whatever you want. Now, you can use something like most people, I imagine, would do, arrange it by OBP and sort of make a lineup sort of based off of that, but trying to keep in mind what's realistically happening in the season, keep an eye on batting average and stuff like that. But again, the hard thing about this is that you have to go to a completely different screen to be able to do this, and it can become really difficult and really frustrating. You also, in terms of leaders, have to click on the get pitching leaders or get hitting leaders button to have the game automatically calculate your leaders before you can see them. It doesn't come up sort of automatically. So it can become kind of difficult and a little bit frustrating. You can see with the Red Sox, I haven't even used any relief pitchers so far. We've had nothing but complete games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 complete games, which I would say is not unusual for 1908, but it may be the case that I'm leaving these guys in a little bit too long. You know, the team has only lost once, but maybe in that one loss I should have taken Cy Morgan out. I don't know. You can go back and watch and let me know what you think, because I'm pretty sure I have all of their games recorded. Now, for most people playing NP3, it's not going to be a problem because you'll use this screen and you'll just use the real life lineups. It's set up so you can see here that the lineups are just automatically set up. The game will also do the transactions for you if they don't match up to the lineups. You can, I believe, play the games out of order if you really want to, and then when you're done playing it, you can click on this little checkbox here to check and say, yes, I finished playing this game. However, if you're not careful, something weird like that will happen because I accidentally clicked on it twice, but no problem. We're not going to save it. It won't have any adverse effect on us. So that's sort of the thing that I noticed with MP3. It takes a little bit getting used to, and I kind of wish that in the middle of the game I had like a bullpen option. What I really wish is that over here I had an option to also look at some of the statistics from these players, like right there, because I don't want to necessarily make my decisions based only on the game ratings. I want to make it based on what's happening in the season, right? That's part of the immersion. We'll go over here to Diamond Mine and we'll take a look at sort of how things are different. So it's a little bit different over here with Diamond Mine. This is another screen I usually don't show you if I'm going to start a game. So this is the one I'm going to play probably later on today, the Giants and the Braves. And when I go into the ball game here, I can see all sorts of stuff about each team, including I can see the which pitchers have been used recently. I can see exactly like how many pitches they've had, who's too tired. So Clyde Schoen, who only had one inning in real life, was tired after I overused him in the video that you saw yesterday. And I can go over here and see really clearly, okay, who is actually rated to be a starter. If I want to see like Johnny Antonelli, sorry, if I want to see like, should I start this guy or not, I can double click on him and say, okay, well, he started 10 games. Yeah, it's pretty nice because it gives me some of the information I need. And then if there's something on here that I need that I can't see, I can just double click and see. It's not perfect, right? I need to see how many games the guy started. I want to see what percentage of games were starts versus relief appearances. It's kind of frustrating, actually, that you can't see that information automatically here, but some of it's nice. Like here, I can always, if I really want to, I could see, look at this. I can't sort it by average or on-base percentage or anything. For the lineup, I usually end up having to look at guys individually after I load the lineup I have in there automatically and then sort of make adjustments as I go and kind of guess. It's not exactly the perfect system. You can see there are different problems, and this is one of the problems I think that we have with these games, and that many of them are really designed to be played with as-played lineups as opposed to allowing the user to use their own lineup, because a lot of tools that would be obvious to somebody who wants to use lineups are not readily available, right? We looked at this before. I'll show you again because I just showed you the Skeetersoft stat screen. This is what the Diamond Mine Baseball stat screen looks like, right? It's kind of a mess. You can look up like the team batting register, for example, and we'll look at the Boston Braves because they just came up, and you can sort by batting average. You can sort then afterwards by things like on-base percentage or slugging percentage or whatever, or doubles hit or something like that, which is pretty cool. But at the same time, this is a completely different screen. I think I showed you this before. I can't really do much to actually change the size of the screen. I can customize the stuff that goes into it, but I'm not sure what this does. I don't know what this memorize option even is. I mean, we can look into help and figure it out, I guess, to memorize this report. Okay. So if you memorize a report, then you can save that very, very specific report under a different name. I think I've done that before in the past. So, okay, then you can look at, whatever random report it is you want quickly without having to put in all of the things to call it forward. I mean, it's all right, but what I would really like instead of a memorize option, or what should be save, is a way to make the stupid screen bigger, right? That's pretty obvious. Anyway, that gives you kind of an idea of what you're looking at, what some of the strengths and weaknesses of these games are. Now, I mean, the truth is that as we go along here, we're going to see that every single one of these games has its own strengths and weaknesses. None of the games are perfect, and we're going to have to kind of accept the fact that none of the games are perfect. I mean, there's not anything that we're ever going to be able to do to force things one way or another. In the case of some games like Diamond Mine Baseball, it's arguably no longer fully supported. So, I mean, I can complain until the cows come home and it doesn't matter, right? I mean, it's just going to be the way that it is, and we're not likely to see a huge difference. Having said that, it really would be kind of nice to know, to have different options. And I think also for those of you who are considering purchasing games, it might be a good idea to see some of this stuff and understand some of the strengths and weaknesses of what's happening in these games. So there you have it. For me personally, the most important thing is not necessarily like options you have to change the lineup and stuff like that. Rather, I would consider the most important thing of all to be the game engine itself. Because you want to make sure that our replays are immersive and realistic, and that they feel right, and that everything is right on, that we don't have any sort of key statistics that are like way off, or also to make sure that we don't have situations in which the computer is cheating and forcing certain results because it thinks that we want like Roger Maris to have exactly 61 home runs and so on and so forth. Something that you might know about from certain games. Anyway, that's it for today, and I'll talk with you tomorrow. Bye.